It really is striking how digital learning has just become part of everyday education.
Oh, absolutely. Blended learning, virtual schools, even just like supplemental online stuff for homework.
Exactly. Kids are just immersed in this digital world for school now, like never before.
Which, it brings up this really vital area that parents and educators too are thinking about.
Yeah.
How do we make sure kids are not just using tech, but are actually, well, thoughtful digital citizens?
Right. That's the goal, isn't it? Digital literacy, digital citizenship.
Mm.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've been looking at some really useful insights from Edmentum. They really focus on what parents need to grasp to, guide their kids safely online.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Our mission here is really to pull out those key ideas, make them practical, especially around their four main tips for parents on digital literacy.
Which is so important because, let's face it, for a lot of parents, the online world their kids live in, it feels completely different from how they grew up.
Totally different. They want to help, but things change so fast.
Exactly. It's hard to keep up, let alone feel confident giving advice.
Okay, so let's dig in. The Edmentum article, it starts by linking digital literacy with this bigger concept, digital citizenship. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, at its core, the Digital Citizenship Institute puts it really nicely. They say, digital citizenship is the norms of appropriate, responsible technology use.
Norms. Okay, so like the rules of the road online?
Pretty much. Think
Yeah.
of it as the social etiquette, the expected ways to behave when you're in digital spaces. Just like we have norms for face-to-face interactions. It's about participating ethically, responsibly.
That makes a lot of sense. It's almost like a whole new society online with its own culture and rules, and our kids are kind of the new arrivals trying to learn the ropes.
That's a great way to put it. And, what's really helpful is how Mike Ribble, he founded the Digital Citizenship Institute, breaks it down. He outlines 9 specific elements.
9. Wow, that sounds comprehensive.
It is, but it covers the bases really well.
Yeah.
So first up is digital access. That's the push for everyone to have, equal opportunity to use technology.
Right, bridging the digital divide. Makes sense.
Then there's digital commerce, basically, doing business online ethically and legally.
Okay.
Digital communication is about interacting respectfully through digital tools. And then digital literacy itself, which is fundamental learning and teaching how to actually use tech effectively.
So those first 4 really cover access, ethical online business, talking respectfully, and just knowing how to use the tools. What else is there?
Well, then we get into digital etiquette, respecting those online standards of conduct, the netiquette we used to talk about.
Ah, yes, netiquette.
Digital law extends our real-world laws and ethics online.
Mm.
Then digital rights and responsibilities are basic freedoms and duties in the digital world.
Okay.
Digital health and wellness deals with, the physical and psychological side effects of tech use, staying safe from those risks.
Important one.
Definitely. And finally, digital security. That's self-protection, guarding your personal info online.
Wow. Okay, laid out like that, it's clear it's so much more than just knowing how to click buttons. It's
Yeah.
about being a responsible member of this online community. Why is grasping all this so critical for kids specifically?
Well, the interesting thing is how these elements all connect.
Yeah.
Like understanding digital law about copyright. That affects how a kid might buy something online digital commerce or what they share, which ties into etiquette.
Ah, I see the connections.
Yeah, so by learning about this stuff, kids start to develop this internal guide for navigating online situations positively. It helps them communicate better, collaborate better, skills they absolutely need, and it just prepares them for, well, the good and the bad of living in such a connected world.
And the article mentions practical ways to start, right? Like a family digital pledge or checking out resources together.
Exactly, things you can actually do. It makes it less abstract.
Yeah, it gives parents a starting point.
And moving on from that foundation, the article tackles something very real for parents: media monitoring. It points out just the sheer amount of media kids are exposed to: TV, internet, social media, games.
Oh, it's constant, isn't it? Sometimes I wonder how they even process it all.
And that's a really key point the article makes. Kids are often just more susceptible to media influence than adults are. Their critical thinking isn't fully developed yet.
Right.
So it's really crucial for parents not just to know what their kids are seeing or playing, but to actively think about, is this actually appropriate for their age? Does it align with our family's values?
That tip about evaluating media as a family, I liked that. How does that actually work?
It's about making it a shared activity,
Yeah.
not just passive watching. You can talk about the value shown in a show or game.
Mm.
Ask questions like, What did you think about what that character did?
Mm-hmm.
Or how did that make you feel?
Mm.
It's less about saying no to everything and more about building that media literacy together, discussing if what they're watching, fits with what your family believes is important.
I can really see how that would lead to better conversations than just, like, turn that off. It gets kids thinking critically about the messages they're getting.
Exactly. And how those messages connect, or maybe don't connect to real life. It builds a broader understanding.
Yeah, definitely.
So building on that sort of proactive approach, the article then shifts to um, internet safety and online privacy. Super important.
The big one for many parents, I think. The internet's amazing for learning, but yeah, the risks.
Totally. It's a gateway to information, but also potentially to kids' personal information if we're not careful.
So what's the main advice there?
The core thing is having open, ongoing talks with your kids about what's okay to share online and what absolutely isn't.
Like names, addresses, that kind of thing.
Yes, but it goes beyond just basic details. It's also about the photos they post, the videos, even stuff about their daily routine,
Mm.
and importantly, the appropriateness of the content they themselves put out there on social media.
That's a really good point. It's not just protecting from others, but also managing their own digital footprint.
Exactly, because as the article highlights, online posts can be incredibly permanent. Once it's out there, control is lost. It can be copied, shared, pop up years later.
A tough lesson to learn. So practically, what can parents do to help safeguard privacy?
Well, the article really emphasizes using the privacy settings that are available on devices and browsers, on apps and websites.
Right, digging into those settings menus.
Yeah. Most platforms let you limit who sees posts, maybe use a nickname instead of a real name, turn off location tracking. These are actual steps parents can take with their kids to set up some digital boundaries.
Those are definitely concrete actions.
Good.
Okay, the last big tip in the article was about communication, right? Promoting clearer online interaction.
Mm-hmm. And this is so crucial because, online you lose all that face-to-face context.
No body language, no tone of voice.
Exactly. So it's incredibly easy for messages to get misinterpreted. The article uses the example of, like, a joke on social media that someone takes the wrong way and feelings get hurt.
Oh, yeah. Happens all the time. What someone thinks is funny, another person finds offensive or hurtful.
Right. So the advice is really about fostering thoughtfulness, encouraging kids, if there is a misunderstanding online, to maybe try and clear it up in person if they can, or at least over a voice call.
Take it offline to avoid things escalating through text.
Yeah, exactly. Prevent those minor things blowing up. And the big takeaway message is that simple phrase, think before typing.
Sounds simple, but so powerful.
It really is. Just prompting kids to pause and consider, how might someone else read this? And always, always emphasizing respect. Treat people online like you would, well, anywhere else.
Because the goal is for the internet to be this great resource,
Right.
right? Entertaining, informative, but also a safe community.
That's the ideal, yeah.
So the Edmentum piece wraps up by saying this whole digital literacy and citizenship thing, it's not a one-and-done lesson. It's ongoing.
Absolutely. It's a learning process.
Mhm.
Tech changes, online communities evolve. You have to keep learning, keep talking about it.
But that core principle should always be respect, right?
That's the foundation. Treat online interactions as real human interactions, because they are.
And the article really stresses how much impact those intentional conversations, those regular reminders from parents can have. It's about guiding them, not just restricting them.
For sure. And ultimately, technology has revolutionized things. Education, daily life, building these strong digital citizenship skills, that's how we help the next generation use tech for positive progress.
And they mention Common Sense Media as another good place for parents to look for info.
Yeah, a great resource. Lots of practical advice there, too.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, drawing on that Edmentum article we've covered quite a bit, the link between digital literacy and citizenship,
The foundation.
the need for media monitoring, really engaging with kids about what they consume.
And doing it together as a family.
Right. Then internet safety, open communication, using privacy settings actively.
Protecting that personal info.
And finally, promoting clear, respectful online communication, that think before typing mantra.
Basically fostering thoughtfulness online. And these aren't just rules, are they? They're guiding principles for how kids engage online.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about all this, How can you start or maybe deepen the conversations about digital citizenship in your own family or maybe with other young people you know? How do you move beyond just listing rules to really fostering that genuine understanding and responsible behavior in this digital world that just keeps changing?